Thank you all very much. The next group to present is probably the most important one because it's the CLEO Institute. I'm the proud founder of the CLEO Institute, and today we are blessed. 3 members of our team will be interviewed by Shannon of VoLo Foundation to share our story and why CLEO believes that our ripple effect and the work we do is a blueprint for climate action. I want to say the partnership we have with VoLo and the staff at VoLo and the trustees at VoLo has given us wings. And to tell the story, please come to the stage, Yoka Aditi Rocha, our executive director, Ellen R. Siegel, CLEO Institute Climate Speaker Specialist. Ladies, come on up. Nicole Gazzo, who we met when she was just a little junior in high school, and now she is a college grad doing incredible things, campaign advisor for our Youth Action Fund. And everyone will be interviewed by Shannon Magazine, God help me with that name, who is an incredible staff member at VoLo Foundation and has become a dear friend and colleague. Without further ado, CLEO, come on up. You taking this or that?
Nope. I'm going to grab the clicker.
Malcolm, Dad. We will videotape you. Get it right.
Can you pass that to Yoka?
Did you guys even get a chance to go to the restroom?
So we're here because of data. As we know, data informs storytellers. When VoLo started, it was all data, and there wasn't really so much of the story yet. And so data doesn't necessarily tell the story to everybody, and that's why at this conference we have multi-sensory opportunities for every attendee to learn about the data. So be sure to check out the AOA installation and all the different things that are available. The CLEO Institute is one of the best at taking data and creating a story that moves all people of all ages, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to frame my first question to Yoka. Please tell us, what does CLEO stand for, and what do you guys do?
Okay. Oh, there we go. Well, first of all, thank you to VoLo Foundation and David Attais to convene us here. It's always inspiring to be in an audience as we are today. You have met already our incredible founder, Ms. Caroline Lewis, who, yes, who 15 years ago decided to do what she knows best, which is to educate. And the scientific community was not getting through to people, and so she was tasked with that incredible challenge. And so CLEO stands for Climate Leadership Engagement Opportunities. And we believe every one of us, every one of you, can be a leader in action. And that is the theme of today's conference. And so CLEO approaches climate leadership opportunities from the bottom up and from the top down. We are a grassroots organization, but we're also a grass stops organization. But we also understand that data alone doesn't change people's hearts and minds. And so we look for clever ways to infiltrate and to make people understand the complexity and the urgency, but at the same time, find those opportunities where they can stand up and unite us and be part of this movement.
So you said it, climate is complex because it multiplies threats, but it also multiplies solutions. So how does CLEO uniquely get climate to resonate across all generations?
Well, CLEO, and Caroline said it well this morning, we obviously are data and science driven, and the justice lens is another core value of the CLEO Institute. But it's not only climate justice, it's gender, it's race, intergenerational justice, because we understand that the future generations are the ones that are going to be at the front and feeling the brunt of a warming climate. And so we tried to offer an array of engagement points, from community emergency and disaster preparedness opportunities in our most vulnerable communities, to bringing climate curriculum and climate trainings into the classrooms, to preparing our teachers with the information needed to embed climate in their lessons plans, to training municipalities and municipal staff into what the climate is, and making those complex terms very digestible, very easy to understand.
So this is Ellen, and that's Nicole, and they're both very committed climate activists. I'm going to start with Ellen. Tell us your story. What phase of life were you in when you became a climate leader? And tell us how CLEO had anything to do with that.
Okay, happy to do that. But first, how many folks in this Orlando audience are scuba divers or snorkelers? Okay, and how many of you have ever been to Everglades National Park, Flamingo? Okay, not so many. So the divers will relate a little to my story, and the rest of you will have to use your imagination. I'm a climate migrant from South Florida. It happens that it was CLEO and the symposiums that started, I don't know how many years ago, Caroline, but you held them at the University of Miami, and I somehow stumbled onto them. And that was the beginning of my incipient awareness. I loved South Florida. I now live in Gainesville, and I'm learning to love Gainesville. But my roots are in the sawgrass and the mangroves. And I love scuba diving, too. So watching the corals in the Florida Keys disappear, felt really personal to me. But it took me 30 years watching sign after sign to understand what was happening. So I don't have a moment. It's been a lifetime. Well, your lifetime anyway. In the 80s, I started taking a solo retreat camping trip every year, always to the same spot on Florida Bay at Flamingo in the Everglades. There was a beautiful Jamaican dogwood tree I put my tent under, and the image of that tree is burned in my memory. I loved it. I loved it with the silhouette of the moonlight behind it on a full moon night. Year after year, though, I noticed that tree was getting closer and closer to the water. And then one year, it was gone. It had fallen into Florida Bay. Of course, the tree hadn't moved. The water had risen. The shoreline had vanished. That's kind of dot number one. In 1991, dear friends in Berkeley went out for breakfast with their brand new newborn son, and they couldn't get home because a wildfire had ripped through the Berkeley and Oakland Hills, their neighborhood, so fast that by the time they finished their scrambled eggs, their house was gone. Dot number two. Then came Hurricane Andrew, 1992. My home in Miami wasn't hit directly, but the aftermath of a hurricane, if you've been through that, people survived hurricanes here. Too many, I'm so sorry. It's brutal. The stress, the loss, it broke people. It broke my marriage. It broke the marriage of my best friends and both neighbors on both sides. And for a long time, I saw all of these things as separate tragedies, hardships. They're part of life. Until suddenly I saw a pattern. I was able to connect the dots. And I realized that the places I love are in terrible danger, and the little ones in my family will grow up facing disasters we can't even imagine unless we act together. Again, it was the University of Miami symposiums at the CLEO Institute, when Caroline was the founder and director, that's jump-started my pivot from a career in investment management, believe it or not, to becoming a climate speaker specialist with the CLEO Institute. And I now owe the joy in my life, how awful the problem is, how great is the joy of working with the CLEO Institute. And thank you, Yoka, for bringing me back on board, because you were my trainers. So what does it take? Personal action, political action, community action. That's why I'm here today. I know that's why you're here today, too. So let's do it together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen, for your bravery and your honesty and the vulnerability, because that story's tough. And by sharing it with us, it helps others that are going through that relate, because climate's something that's impacting everyone.
It really does.
All the time.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicole, you are in a different generation, but you've chosen to be a climate action leader. What's your story, and can you tell us?
Yeah. Thank you again, Laura, for sharing that story. And I think it really set the stage, I think, for my story. Because, and I think like part of the question, or something that you had asked me earlier, was how do you not feel so overwhelmed to take action? How do you not feel hopeless or anxious, given that we haven't seen half of it? And I know that I still have an entire lifetime to live. So I know that me and hopefully my family one day potentially don't have the brightest future ahead of them. And that was invigorating to learn about when I was in high school, especially going through 8-9 years of schooling and then realizing not until my junior year of high school was it that I was getting a thorough understanding of the very science that dictates my future. And then on top of that, you find out that there's leaders in office that consciously pass legislation to support profit over people, to not put my future forward, to put private interests and corporate issues forward. And so very quickly, I went from a naive high schooler to a very aware, anxious high schooler. I did feel overwhelmed at one point. I was very scared. I was very hopeless. Those emotions still affect me at times, but it was CLEO, and it was like-minded people, like-minded communities, incredible spaces like this that changed my life. Because I realized that all of the world's weight is not on my shoulders. I don't need to do it alone. There's hundreds of people that want to work on this. Just like you were saying, just as issues multiply with this crisis, so do solutions. And that's where I gain like hope. That's where the frustration, the anxiety quickly catalyzes into strength, passion, optimism. Because who am I to live in this generation knowing that I have, hopefully, God willing, years, decades ahead of me? I know that I can look back and be proud for at least trying. You know, I'm not going to sit here and feel like and at one point I feel like when I was joining the movement, a lot of the weight of the world does lie on your shoulders, and you're like, okay, it's up to me to fix this. I have to address all of this. I have to fix all of it. But I feel like as I've matured and met more people in this community, this is a family effort, and this is a movement, and we're all doing this together. And so joining CLEO and meeting people and getting reminded that I wasn't alone is really what led me to eventually found my own educational program. I mean, as a high schooler, I was like, how are there high schoolers graduating high school without a thorough understanding of the climate science? And the CLEO Institute helped me launch my own climate education program within over 15 high schools in Miami-Dade County, ensuring that no high school student graduates their 4 years without a thorough understanding of the data that will dictate where they go in life. And so,
Wow.
yeah.
That's incredible.
And that's one of many accomplishments that came from joining CLEO and orgs like CLEO. So
I remember I met Nicole at a meeting, and she came to me. She's like, I have this idea. It's called CLIP. I'm like, CLIP? What is it? It's a climate leadership informational project. And I'm like, I love it. Let's do it. And 15 schools in a blink of an eye that are getting the climate education that they're not getting from their curricula. has been incredible. And I know that you had a lot of climate anxiety. And one of my own mottos and things that keep me going is what John said earlier. To me, action truly is the antidote to despair. It's on my signature. For those who have gotten an email from me, you'll see that's true. And I think, you spoke to me about that feeling empowered ease that anxiety. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I think when you begin to realize how powerful your voice is, and that when you stand up, people oftentimes listen, I think that's a game changer, especially as a young leader in your community, because we oftentimes have the most free time to go a Tuesday afternoon to a Public Service Commission meeting and give public comment, and I feel like as I started to use my voice and go into decision-making spaces, working with decision makers, I started to, right in front of me, recognize my impact and realize that my voice matters and my voice can get policies changed. And I think those small wins, little by little, started to add up. And I feel like that's why I feel so comfortable to be able to sit on a stage today and know that this is a conversation, this is an invitation to network, to connect with folks who have the same passions as me. And so the nerves and the anxieties that I once felt when I was younger to speak or to go up to an elected official, I feel like I've become very comfortable in these spaces because I've recognized my own influence. And I no longer feel like a shy, young, oh, I don't know where I fit in this space. I know that I am just as worthy and just as powerful. It was all about recognizing my worth and my ability to make change. And again, connecting with incredible leaders like Yoka and Caroline and incredible leaders on the stage with us to recognize each other's greatness and move forward, push forward, and get even more groundbreaking things.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I think that, we call that a blueprint, but it really is treating this issue not as a weather-only issue. This is more than that. It is a humanitarian issue, and so we have to center people's stories and people's life at the center of the conversation. And we have a video, if the production team can hit that up, just to put it in perspective, some of the creative campaigns that we have done to connect those dots to people. Can we cue the video, please? We have no audio.
Our approach has always been education in action.
It's not only about sea level rise. It's about heat and health and food and water insecurity. It's about displacement, repetitive flooding.
If we don't act now, we are going to lose everything that is precious to us.
The climate crisis is such a big, unique beast that it takes finding clever ways to infiltrate people's hearts and minds so they see themselves as agents of change.
Hey, how's it going?
These people are not actors, and they have no idea what's about to hit them.
Okay, up here.
Suddenly, this South Beach souvenir shop begins to rapidly flood with 5,600 gallons of repurposed water. The unsuspecting shoppers getting a dramatic up-close preview of the sea level rise scientists say is coming our way.
Wow. So what did you experience just now?
Panic.
What seems like a prank show clip is actually a new video campaign produced for the CLEO Institute, a nonpartisan Florida-based nonprofit that's been pushing for climate action for the last 12 years.
We really wanted to use something creative that could shake people to the core.
Yocarditi Rocha is the CLEO Institute's executive director. She was at the White House Tuesday with President Biden and lawmakers to celebrate the passage of the historic Inflation Reduction Act, investing $369 billion in climate action and clean energy. But Aditi Rocha says it is us, the residents, who will dictate how our state policymakers step up. That's why the CLEO Institute produced the video. There is no more time to waste. The climate crisis is here and now.
We're seeing heat waves like we've never seen before. We've seen flooding like we have never seen before. What is happening in Pakistan, has happened in Kentucky, and all around the world.
For the people in the video, it was indeed a wake-up call.
Climate change is not a distant thing. It is approaching us faster and faster each time.
I think everyone needs to get on board with this very, very fast, because I don't think we have a lot of time left.
A wake-up call for all of us.
If everyone's doing something, it's going to make a huge difference.
This is really a breakthrough, an inflection point that can really assure that we can have a safe and livable planet for all.
Dad, we have to talk. When did you know that the sea level was rising? And the beaches were shrinking? By the time I was your age. There will be more plastic than fish in the ocean? That the water was getting so warm? The coral was dying? How did this happen? You knew this was happening? And you did nothing? Didn't you know that my future was at risk? Mom? Dad?
So these have just been just a few examples, so some of the campaigns that we have been able to do in a very creative way.
Some of the other ones are actually loaded onto that big media wall out front.
That's true.
So CLEO's been very successful at mobilizing people like Nicole and Ellen with these kinds of campaigns. We're approaching 2030, and so as kind of a last question, what's next for the CLEO Institute as we approach that timeline?
Well, we know we are at a crossroads, and we have gained incredible momentum. Florida, despite the political climate we are in, we are number 2 in solar, in utility scale solar, and also rooftop solar, right behind Texas. Number 2 in electric vehicle adoption, right behind California. So we have been called the canary on the coal mine, but we're actually the phoenix rising when it comes for climate solutions.
Ooh, I love
and
that.
I think that's a narrative and a story that we need to be telling, because our collective efforts, and thanks to supporters and investors and people like VoLo Foundation, are making it happen. And so I think celebrating those wins are so important. So for us, we're doubling down, we're scaling our efforts, and we want all of you to feel that you are leaders in action. So join us.
Ellen, is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience? What can they think about from your perspective?
Echoing a lot of what's already been said and underscoring the point of the ending of my climate story with finding CLEO to really affiliate with. It's about shared passion, community, looking for your tribe. And my goodness, this is a big tribe right here, and I would love to get to know every single person here. I wandered through all of the great climate action communities in Gainesville. I've been there 6 years, and I didn't find the right fit. And it occurred to me to go back to my Miami roots. And that's my tribe. So that would be my shared thought. And I would like to quote Stephen Mulkey, who is a professor of climate change science, ecology, and biology at UF. I've taken all of his classes, some of them 3 times. He's very much like Dr. Wanless. It's very dark out there. It is. And like Nicole, doing something helps.
Yes.
But Dr. Mulkey says at the end of every class, every session, we are obligate social animals. To meet the challenges in the world, you must create or find your own community. And that's the message I would leave all of us with. And it looks like VoLo Foundation is facilitating that.
Thank you. We have 2 minutes left, and I believe we had one win recently in Tallahassee, and maybe a little video. Could you tell us, were you there?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think one of my favorite activities to do is meet with elected officials and push for policy, share my personal story, and really just create connection between the leaders of our policy world and the decision makers. And so we took 400 students to Tallahassee about 2 weeks ago to push for climate policy. We had all 400 of these students meet with their Florida reps as well as their Florida senators. So there's a lot to come out of that. I feel like these conversations are still leaving effect. We're still in the process of leaving follow-up emails with these representatives as well as senators. But I think the overall value of connecting students with their elected officials is not only creating this bridge and overall bridging the gap between decision makers and their constituents, but also, again, reinforcing within the youth how powerful it is when they speak up, and how powerful their voice is, and how much people want to listen to them. Sometimes it's a breath of fresh air for representatives and senators to have youth come in and give them that fresh, unique perspective that they often are not exposed to. So being able to connect the youth with our decision makers and our leaders is incredibly valuable, and I'm so excited to see everything that's going to come out of that and the policies that we're able to sway and shift through connecting with them. So,
Do we have something we can look at?
yeah, we do have a video to give you all some insight on what that looks like.
CLEO and CLEO are here to mobilize our community members. Everyone has a role to play.
We've had 80 meetings, again, with 400 young people participating in those meetings. We've heard from senators, representatives. It's been a day of action in every sense of the word.
We were a large portion of the people who were able to speak in front of legislators. Getting involved in the local issues is also really important, so we hope young people gather.
It's important that my daughter and I were present today. We need our young children to stand up, because if they don't, who's going to do it for us?
Just being here and feeling the energy has been amazing. Being surrounded by so many other youth advocates, it's really empowering.
If there are issues that are important to you, you have a voice, and it's our job to use it.
So if you've been moved and motivated by this panel, see Yoka or our beautiful MC, Caroline, after, and get involved with the CLEO Institute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Weeping. Oh, come on. That was gorgeous. Well done, folks.